Hello, everyone. I'm here with Lauri McKean. She's the founder of Align to Love. And we met a few years ago in a business coaching program. And
Yeah.
you were doing different work then and related to Chinese medicine. And so I would love to just have you share what Align to Love is and then sort of how you got there, because it feels like you have a wonderful journey that has gotten you here.
Yeah, well, thank you. So nice to be here, and I appreciate it. Um, yes, well, Aligning to Love is yes the name of my business, and it's really focused right now on women who are age 40 and older, who are in the single women who are looking to create, to manifest, to support their alignment to a loving, a next level kind of loving relationship. And personally, in my own experience, as well in what I see with other women and clients, it is a process because there is alignment that needs to happen for us to come out of old patterns and stop recreating the old relationship relating dynamics that we've had in the past, and to really open up to something really new and exciting. So that's what I am doing now. The irony of of um, of it is I never set out to do this type of work. and and what happened was is that when you and I met, Michelle, I was doing more work around well, I called my business The Power of Yin. And it was more around coaching for women entrepreneurs and leaders in how to use the more feminine, the more yin energy in a very powerful way, in creating business or creating leadership opportunities. And what happened was, as I was developing that business, I had a group going. I had women in this group. Gosh, we've been together now over 3 years. And during that time, actually, we've been together almost 4 years now that I think about it. And during that time, they were also knowing that I was in a process of kind of aligning myself to love and working on that inside me and internally. And they witnessed also my stepping into the dating world. Once I felt like I had done my inner work, I stepped into the dating world. I was online dating. They, were hearing little bits and pieces about that. And I dated online for 2 years. And I guess what was special about that was that I actually enjoyed it. I had fun dating. I had fun online. It wasn't like this whole traumatic experience. And then at the end of 2 years, there was this bonus called My Sweetie. I met him online. We now live together. We've been together almost 2 years. And so, but it really wasn't, to me, it wasn't just the end result of meeting him. It was the process. And I learned so much and I grew so much through the process of dating. And finally, one of the women in my group, one day when we were meeting, she said, Lauri, you don't understand your experience dating, in your 50s is so different than most women. And you need to teach this. You need to do this. And I went, no way. I'm not a dating coach. No way. and and then I just kind of sat with it for about, 2, 3 weeks. And I went, oh, well, there's so much of the foundational pieces that I could teach, and that would not only change women's experience of dating and relationships and love, but would also ripple out into other aspects of their life. And then I kind of said, yeah, I think I can take that on. I think I can, rest into that in a way, because it was, I knew that it was going to be very different than a typical dating coach. And it was going to involve a lot of energetic work, which is really my background and my specialty. So yes, that's the story of how that happened.
I love it. Can you say a little bit more about the energetic work, that, so people can understand a little bit what that means?
Yeah, I could say a lot about
I bet you can.
so let me just start with a little bit about my background,
Okay.
because I actually was raised in a family that was kind of steeped in Western medicine and Western tradition. Like my mother is a microbiologist and my father is a veterinarian. I have a very, solid, non-energetic background. And what happened, my parents still wonder what the hell happened to her. Um, but interestingly enough, in my early 20s, over 30 years ago, I ended up taking a Tai Chi class. And I didn't necessarily want to, I wasn't particularly interested in it, but my boyfriend at the time was so into martial arts that I felt like a martial arts widow. He was always gone. He was always doing classes, and there was some friction around it because that was so much of his focus. And so he was like, "Oh, let's take a class together." And I was like, "Ooh, martial arts, fighting. Ugh, I don't like that." And so he got me interested in doing a Tai Chi class together. And we started doing it, and I just completely fell in love with how I felt, and what I was feeling. I was doing a Tai Chi class, but there was also a Qigong component, and Qigong is kind of the larger umbrella term for Chinese energetic exercises. Tai Chi is a specific type of Qigong that more comes out of the martial tradition. And so I just kind of fell in love with these arts, and the how I felt, and the way the energy, what I felt with the energy, got really, really interested. And started teaching it. I got so interested that I decided to go to Chinese medical school. So I did Chinese medicine and acupuncture and practiced for years and years. So I kind of got steeped in these, in Taoist meditation and Taoist practices, all of these things. And I really feel that the energy, and understanding the energy in our bodies and the energy around us is incredibly foundational for all sorts of things. To me, it's the foundation for the mental, the emotional, the physical aspects of our body, the nervous system. So many people are talking about nervous system regulation.
Right.
Underneath it all is energy. So to me, if you can get all of those things aligned with the energy, the aspects of ourselves, as I said, the physical, mental, emotional, nervous system, and energy all aligned, it's incredibly powerful. And when we can do that, magic happens.
Right.
Whether we're talking about relationships and love and dating, or whether we're talking about business, or we're talking about health, whatever it is. So this was just me starting to apply those principles, those energetic principles and alignment principles, specifically into love, dating, and relationships. And that's why I believe I had a completely different experience than most women
Yeah,
with online
definitely.
dating.
And
So,
now I'm understanding why you're so healthy is because I think you have that alignment of energy. You're using your foundational energy, which a lot of us don't even know how to access that because we're in fight, flight, freeze.
yeah.
We're
Mhm.
very reactive. We're not sourcing this foundational energy source. So that is part of what you're doing with women is teaching that piece.
Yes, yes. So both my programs, my entrepreneurial program and my dating love relationship program, one of some of the foundational things I teach um, is accessing energy centers in the body. And the primary one for me, and the most foundational one, is that womb space area. And, I've since taken a whole nother certification program in the art of feminine presence. And it starts out this foundational connecting into the energy in the womb space. And, I don't want to connect it too much to the physical uterus,
Okay.
um, because I think that women can have it without the uterus,
Right.
without the physical uterus. That energy is still present. It is still there, and in the Chinese and the Taoist tradition, they call it the lower dantian. There's the lower energy center. There's three. There's the lower down in the pelvis near the with the womb, and then there's the heart space in the center of the chest, the middle dantian, and then the upper dantian, which is in the center of the head. And these three energy centers, um, when they are aligned and they are harmonious and they have this synergy, they connect and source energy from above, from the heavens. They connect down below, especially the lower one connects more into the energy of the earth. So as they're sourcing below, and they um, they have this amazing wisdom. They have an amazing wisdom, and an amazing, um, just allowing one to connect with oneself in a much deeper way and connect with the environment, the energy around us, below us, above us in such a deeper way. So it's interesting. I'll give you an example because I'm noticing myself doing it right now. I'm very much connecting and focusing more of my energy in that lower dantian or the womb space, and kind of sitting back into it, to create just more sense of stability and comfort for myself as we're talking,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Whereas I could feel I could arch out of it, arch my back out of it, come out of that alignment, be up more in my head. It throws me up more into my head and it throws me into a little more fight or flight. Like I want to talk faster.
Right.
Whereas if I rest back down and in, I just feel so much more grounded, more calm, and at ease. Um, so
Great.
imagine that if you were dating,
I
if
do.
you were in a situation, in a difficult conversation with somebody, if you can source a sense of feeling grounded and safe and secure and confident from a part of your body, from really accessing the energy in a part of your body, it's a game changer. It's really a game changer. So, and what I find is that then allows when that foundational energy of the womb space or the lower dantian is really solid, the heart can relax and open a lot more. So there's much more expression of love, much more ability to receive, much more ability to connect. And then the head can also open more, and there's much more ability to receive inspiration to relax this sense of like my ideas are right and your ideas are wrong, and just
Right.
rest into what is the
Mhm.
duality of what is in our world naturally. So,
Awesome. Well articulated, everything you said. I just so love how you articulated it. And
well,
it's
thank
very
you.
similar to what I'm teaching in Womb Power. So it's just amazing. And I mean, you're coming from, I guess, the Chinese medicine and the art of feminine presence. You've blended these two beautiful paths together. And um, yeah, I just so appreciate how you laid that all out for everyone. Because
Well, thank
people will say, well, what does alignment really mean? And it's like, it sounds like if you can start with the Dantian, it makes everything else right.
To me, that is critical.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not true for 100% of the people, but I
Okay.
think for the majority of us
Yeah.
in this culture, in this day and age,
Right.
starting with a deep connection and awareness of womb space, the pelvic bowl, womb, lower dantian, however you want to term it, but that energy down there, that foundational energy is is critical, because otherwise, I see this, for example, what happens is if you don't have that, the nervous system can never relax, can it's always heightened because there's not a grounded foundation. And I see it all the time of people who are trying to open up their hearts because we're supposed to have open hearts. And I mean, a lot of yoga practices like push the heart out,
Right.
open the chest, open the heart. And it's like it's more of a projection of the openness rather than the heart actually feeling fully relaxed and comfortable enough to open,
Right.
and to do so in a more authentic way. um, and then, if a lot of spiritual traditions are all about focus here, open up, focus here, open up. And again, I think for some people that can be helpful, but for some, it just blows them out.
Yep.
Like it just takes them so far out of their body that they're off in a mystical experience that they can't necessarily integrate
Yeah.
in day-to-day life and to come back to day-to-day life. And personally, again, I would rather create the spiritual, the love, all of that within my body and have that feel solid and integrated in my body, and integrated in the alignment of those power centers, than one being over dominant.
Right. And yet, I still think, as you were saying, that you've got to make sure the Dantian is fully online in order for
Yes.
the other two
Yeah.
to really find their alignment. It's like this base, this foundational base.
Exactly. I guess I am saying let that one be dominant first.
Yes, exactly. I totally get what you're saying. Yes.
Yes, let that
Right.
one be dominant instead of the others, because that one, it can support. It can support the others. And it to me, it's this thing where, the womb space, the lower dantian is really our connection of these power centers. It's our connection to the earth. And as earthly beings, as creatures of the earth, it's helpful to really feel that in order for our other dimensions, our other centers to develop. So yeah, it seems like a important foundation. And that, again, that has been my experience and my experience, with clients as well.
Yeah.
So
Do you, I mean, I feel like also, you know, we're in fight, flight, freeze often, which is sort of not the third eye that you're talking about. It's sort of that mental fixation pattern that's,
yes.
because we've had to shut off the Dantian womb space in a survival response. And I'm just wondering, do you end up having to do trauma work with people, or does it sort of balance out just by working with the Dantian? I'm sure severe trauma is a different situation, but
Yeah, in an interesting question, and there's lots of ways to go at that. I mean, the simple answer is it depends.
yeah, right,
um, I certainly am not doing intentionally doing, major trauma work with people. That's just not where I'm coming from and
right.
my background. It does come up. It has come up many a time, not only in coaching, which I'm doing now, and teaching, but certainly on the acupuncture table and the treatment table. Things would get, kind of stirred up and people could go back into trauma responses. So, my way of dealing with it, I think that, for people who are dealing with that in some sort of severe trauma, there is a place for, therapy and talking and, and doing whatever modalities there are. But I also think that the energetic work is just as important. And they should probably almost always be paired. The energetic work, being able to be in the body, and for some women, being in the lower pelvis in and of itself, that awareness down there is traumatic. So if that is the case, then bringing them into other parts of the body first, and then slowly being able to drop down. And it might be that I would bring them into the soles of their feet first and just simply have a very somatic awareness of the soles of their feet.
Right.
If there was just too many layers of trauma in the pelvic area. But the feet can also be a grounding,
Totally. Yes,
So,
yes.
so I still think it's important to find that somatic in the body grounding connection, to because it sends a message to the nervous system of I'm safe, or at least safer. I am safer than I was, especially because trauma tends to be about leaving the body and going back in time and reliving things in the past. So if we can come into the body and connect with what is happening right now,
Right.
that will begin to shift the dynamics. And of course, that is a process, but I think it's an important part of the process.
Absolutely. That is what I'm teaching every single movement class too. I totally relate to all of that. And the feet, absolutely feeling grounded. Once you feel your feet are on the earth, your whole body can feel more free to move. I mean, that's a microcosm of, or a metaphor for life.
Absolutely. And it's, I often go back to my, Tai Chi background, often back to that martial arts component too, because, the great thing about the martial arts is not, I mean, I didn't study it to be like, now I can defend myself in the back alley. I studied it because, and I love the martial arts because it gives us it gives us an input, a stimulus. Like if there's a punch coming at you in a practice session, it's a stimulus for like, fight, flight, or freeze. What do I do with it? And in the martial arts, it's like if you kind of raise up, stiffen up in response to a stimulus like a punch, then it's game's over. You're kind of screwed. If you can relax into the earth and allow that force to go through you, it's actually it's kind of magical. It's like, yeah, no big deal. So having that connection with the earth through the feet is so important in the martial arts, and even better if it's combined with the lower dantian or womb space area. It's like, oh yeah, there's no issue here. It's just it it can, whatever's coming at you can move through you. So it's fascinating to have experienced it from that end as well. I love that. So
That is awesome. And I remember, I mean, this is sort of related. I remember when I was in one of my business coaching trainings, and the coach would say, you're going to need your sexual energy to run a business. You can't be an entrepreneur if don't have access to this sexual energy, which is what you're talking about, foundational energy. And
yeah,
I used to be like, what is he talking about? Like I really didn't have a connection.
yeah,
And it was like, it makes sense to me, but how do you do it? And I didn't actually even wasn't ready to go seeking that
mhm,
yet. But once I finally did, I was like, that's what he meant. And
yeah.
because otherwise you're running off of adrenaline, which I did for years, and that leads to burnout. You cannot sustain yourself off of your adrenaline and deadlines and reactions and
Absolutely. It's our power center, it's our battery, it's our storage and of vitality, of our vitality. And certainly, the sexual energy, the creative energy, I feel like are flavors of that vitality.
okay, great.
That it's just, to me it's like it's all this like yummy energy, and then there's like specific flavors of it. So certainly, our vitality, and in Chinese medicine, the kidneys are kind of back in that area. They're a little higher, but there's a point on the spine that is called the Ming Men. It's like the gate of life, and it's kind of right in that area as well. So like the Chinese really recognized that the kidneys were the source of our vitality, the kidney energy, and the Ming Men point was our, gate of life. And all of this had to do with that energy of the lower dantian. Um, so yeah, it's a whole different sourcing of energy than from will and drive and caffeine.
I was gonna say caffeine.
What other
Exactly.
stimulants your of choice?
Right.
Uh, yeah, it's a different sourcing. And so yeah, to me it's just like there's so many benefits to developing a relationship with that energy of that area, because you can not only kind of draw from it, you can give back to it too when you're in touch with it. And we can give back to it via lots of ways, but even just our feet on the ground and gentle movements of the pelvis, and imagining, sensing that earth energy drawing into the pelvis is a great way to recharge those batteries.
Nice.
Yeah, just,
And then isn't it interesting that the adrenals sit on the kidneys?
it is. it is interesting. And, especially with in a culture where there's just kind of an overall adrenal burnout.
Yeah.
Especially for women our age,
Yeah.
it's like we've either to families, to children, to spouses. We've, on the same time been creating careers and trying to work in that, some often in a masculine role, and and just not actually replenished. And I really get annoyed with, because some of the replenishment in our culture, the self-care, is so superficial.
Mm.
It's so like band-aid. To go to the spa once a month, it's like, yeah, that's great, but if you're not doing some sort of practice that you can do 5, 10, 20 minutes a day to replenish your batteries, a little juice once a month at the spa is not gonna, it's not gonna cut it. And it's outsourcing it. Oh, I have to go there to get replenished. I have to find it from somebody else. And it's like, that's not ultimately sustainable. Insourcing it is really the most sustainable. And we get so much more connection to ourselves as well. So,
Right. Right. Get multiple benefits. Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. So I love that kind of work that you're doing. And I love doing the work for me and applying it to the realm of love, dating, and relationships. So
yes. And your version of doing that work, is it related to like the microcosmic orbit or these different particular practices? You have like particular Chinese energy Taoist. Yes.
yes, not the microcosmic orbit, but yes.
Okay, got it. Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's one I do every day. It's not what I
It's
have
not
been.
what, okay, got it.
It's more of what I tend to focus on in teaching and with my clients is the three dantian, and developing more and more connection with them, and knowing how to kind of source different questions or different inquiries or different situations from, oh, in this situation, do I really rest into all three? Do I want to go more into my heart? Or if I go more into my heart, am I making sure my foundational dantian piece, the womb space piece is good? It's more of that. And then also how to connect these three up to the sources of energy in the heavens and the source of energy below.
Right.
So like a practice where we call like vertical core, we're really coming, creating that sense of connection within ourselves, in our deep inner strength, as well as how do we connect it to these two, cosmic and earth source as well. And then another really powerful one that we do is then how does that then our energy expand out into the energetic space around us. And in the art of feminine presence practice, we call that the light globe, the light globe around us. Because for a lot of women, they do kind of expand that energy, and they have this energy field around them that is, that does happen, but then they diffuse it out, and it's just like, miles away, and they're off in the ethers, and there's really nothing left for them that to really source from here in their light globe. Or you find women who kind of tend to shrink it and keep the energy really in,
Mm.
and this light glow practice is so beautiful because one, it increases radiance and magnetism,
Mhm.
which is really fun to play with dating because because guys pick up on it right
Yeah.
away. Actually, in my website, I have a video of one woman talking about that,
Oh, that's awesome.
and it creates a more of a sense of protection.
Mm.
So not only do we have the grounding through the womb space, but a sense of a boundary, not a hard boundary, but just here is my space and my bubble kind of boundary.
Mhm.
And again, the heart can open more when it's feeling that sense of protection around it and below it. So yeah, so those are kind of the primary ones I work with. I work with some others as well.
Mhm.
Um, but we always start with womb space. First one.
Right? That's
First,
the hardest one, I think. It's the one that I think in our culture we need the most. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. And what a great thing for sexuality too,
Yeah.
sexual connection, to be able to reclaim that area energetically and in all ways.
Yeah.
So,
Perfect.
yes.
Oh, wonderful. Well, so do you want to tell people how they can learn more about Align to Love?
Yes, and it's aligning
Sorry,
to love.
aligning to love.
Aligning. Um, yeah, there's easiest ways to go to my website, aligningtolove.com. And I have lots of information on there about my own journey. I have a bunch of classes that I teach. Some are more focused on the energetics. And then those energetic classes then can turn into like being in a 6-month program, a group coaching program. I do individual coaching as well. And if people are interested at all, there's an opportunity on the website just to connect with me in like a 30-minute session where we, can kind of talk about some of the challenges with love, dating, relationships, and what might what might help break through those challenges. So yeah, aligningtolove.com.
Awesome. That's awesome. Wonderful.
Thank
Is
you.
is there anything we haven't covered that you think might be helpful or useful or
No, I think that's everything. And it's just, I love, like I said, I love what you are bringing to the discussion and the
you?
movement, and just, yeah, there's so many things pointing to the importance of this area and this energy. So,
Yes. Well, I love, what how you come to it. I mean, it's like we need all these different ways. We need to hear people talking about it in different ways to really get it. And I know you helped me. I got a few more pieces just listening to you talk. It's been so wonderful and so nourishing. Thank you.
oh, well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. Bye for now.
Bye bye.